allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order at 6:31. Joe Toller.
Here.
Misty Cole.
Here.
Anita Lowry.
Here.
Jeff Upton. Here. Mike Nelson. John Collins.
Here.
Kira Hungate.
Here.
Ed Stout.
Here.
City Attorney Tom Kicklack is here. Interim Mayor Don Rollins. And Marcia Hungate is sick tonight. So Christy's going to be taking our minutes. And I hope that Mike will be here shortly. All right. Do we have has everybody looked over the minutes and everything look all right? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from October 11th?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Pardon?
Go back and approve the agenda.
Go back and
Go back and approve the agenda.
We'll make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The minutes are approved.
I'm sorry, well, the minutes are approved.
Okay.
I'll second.
I skipped right past that, huh?
We already did it.
In the interest of efficiency.
Okay.
You got it thrown off now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm all messed up now.
Did we vote on the,
All those
did
in
we
favor?
vote on the agenda?
Yeah, I did, and Joe seconded.
Oh, I missed that vote.
Aye.
Aye.
And now we need to approve the
Train
minutes of
wreck
the
up here.
special meeting.
Of the special meeting.
Yes, please.
Those
I'll
are...
make a motion to
Please.
approve the minutes of the
Second.
special meeting.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now, can we move on to the public forum?
Please.
Oh, look, we made
All right, we'll have 2 minutes per speaker. All remarks will be addressed to the city council. Council may or may ask questions of the speaker or respond to questions or comments. No official action will be taken. Do we have anyone that wants to address the council tonight? Steve.
Yes, I'd just like to point out today's election day, a great day in America, you know, where we go through this secular ritual to honor the great American experiment in democracy. When people go vote, they're expressing their opinion, their will. They're telling their elected officials, their government, the direction that they want to go. And it's an important thing in all democracies at all levels. National level, we went through, there's a state level and the county and stuff like that, and the city. And I hope that our city leaders here think about that, of honoring the decisions, the votes that are made by the citizens. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Steve.
Anyone else?
Hi. I'm Justin Risley. For those of you who do not know me, I just wanted to basically get in front of everybody and tell Chad that he has been doing a wonderful job with the Parks and Recreation Committee, all the programs that he's been doing. I've coached baseball for him for a few years. I coached flag football for him for a couple of years. My parents are always just saying how good of a program we have. What good job he does. The fields are always in excellent shape. So Chad does a great job. Just wanted to say thank you. Give him a little public shout out. So good job, Chad.
Chad, how much did you pay?
I was going to say, thank later, Chad. Good. But, thank you. Anyone else? All right. We'll get on to our business reports then. John?
Not much to report. There is one item that didn't make it onto the agenda that that I wanted to bring before you, and that is that we have an opening on our municipal library board. Pam Redford has resigned because she's moving to Farmington, or I think has moved already. She's bought a home there. And of course, Pam is our connection to our original librarian as well, Juanita Redfern, and she's served the city in many different ways on the council for many years. And we're, if we could honor her in any way, I would love to help out with that. But anyway, the business is that we need to replace Pam, and we discussed this at our last board meeting, and we're recommending Susan McCown to be on the library board. That would give us 5 members, which is the minimum. And we just Susan is, I believe she's been in West Fork for only about 3 years, although she grew up in Fayetteville, and has really shown a great commitment to the community and to the library, to the city as a whole. I believe she was helped with the coat drive for the fire department, and she's organized a group of young moms who meet at the park with their kids regularly. So she's a real leader, and I think she'd be a great asset for our board. So I'd be happy to take any questions about Susan. And she's not here tonight, but
I'll make a motion that we accept Pam Redfern's resignation and appoint Susan McCown
MC
to the library board.
MCCOWN.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Well, thank you. That's it for me. Any questions?
Thank you,
John.
Thank you, John. You did a great job.
Paulette in court.
Yes.
Chief Watts?
I'll try to. If you guys want to flip on over to the police report, I'll try to make this quick. I'll request the others over here. Let's see. Took 142 calls of service, 20 reports. We had 0 after-hour call-outs, which is strange. I think we're starting to slow down a little bit. Issued 31 citations, had 23 warrant arrests, had 4 felony on-view arrests and 10 misdemeanor arrests. A lot of the property complaints have started working themselves out. If you want to start going on over, as far as the grass and the stuff like that, we're kind of dying down now. But you can flip through that and take a look at those and our numbers and also our comp time. And then on the end, it's just a survey that Chief Ricker from Greenland does every year on the pay scales of, if you want to call it, small town police departments in Washington County.
You've made it any smaller?
Well, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'll make it bigger next time. But you can see on that, some of them have proposed pay raises, 5%, 3% and stuff, but you can see that West Fork and Elkins are kind of bringing up the rear as far as that goes on there. So I know we've talked about what we want to do this year. Maybe next year we can do something a little bit better than that. Also, just some things on here. The police department was awarded a new Stalker handheld radar from the Criminal Justice Institute. It was valued at $1,400. We won that somehow for a click it or ticket. So they brought that up to us. We're still waiting on some of our equipment for our computers in our cars, but that'll be going here pretty soon. I do want to tell the council about a while back we were awarded some money for our court security grant. Part of that was to redo our courtroom, which our tax covered that. So what I have done with how law enforcement is and things are going these days, I've ordered the outer ballistic vests for our officers with some of that money. So since our tax is going to be covering the courtroom, some of that's going to help protect our officers here with those outer ballistic carriers. I just want to notify you guys of that. We're working on some in-house training classes on legal updates, report writing, domestic violence, and search and seizure. So far, the officers have completed 532 hours of training. We did have a use of force issue last week where Officer Brown had to tase a female on Dye Creek Road that was high on meth and was uncooperative. After that was reviewed, it was justified that appropriate amount of force was used. Also, was notified that John Collins and the West Fest Committee donated $500 to our Shop with the Cop program. Thank you very much for that. And also to the Spiller family for donating $400 to the Shop with the Cop. And that's about it.
So do you have a date set for that? 'Cause
We don't. I've reached out to
I
the
need to
school.
get a check too.
Yeah, I've reached out to them and they said, well, we'll get it together here pretty soon and go.
Okay.
So,
'Cause you
Yeah, I
know,
need to get you something too.
okay.
I meant to bring it tonight, but I forgot.
Okay. Questions?
I did, man.
Thanks,
All
sir.
right. You bet.
I heard it right there. John
You
Collins.
remind me.
And
Isaac?
I heard it. No worries.
He's never agreed. I do agree.
Not just a whole lot. Our water loss is pretty high due to some leaks. And I suspect it'll stay that high because we're still fixing a couple of leaks a week. The street overlay project is complete. I'm waiting on the state guy to come back and inspector and kind of finalize that. And Nick couldn't be here tonight to give you a sewer rehab update, but he did send something that I put in the packet. The only major change to that is they couldn't bore right there at the Arvest Bank, so they're going to move to the north a little bit and bore underneath, and they'll add a manhole, so that'll come with a change order, another change order. So, and other than that, they're moving pretty smoothly on the manholes and moving right along. So, and that's other than that, I don't have just a whole lot.
I saw the pit in front of the bank, what, they hit a solid shelf of rock?
They dug down there, and due to the tightness of the area, they were trying to make their pit. They hit some creek gravel, and it was caving off under the highway, and the bore company was worried about maybe the highway giving way, so they didn't want to bore there. So they're going to move to the north to that empty lot where they got more room, and they're going to bore across, and it'll be, I think Nick's figuring 2, maybe 3 manholes extra right there to get the reroute done. So, and he thought there was some room in their money to absorb that. They were still ahead of some of the manholes that are,
So the contingency will swallow it?
yeah, okay. So,
that's a good company to yourself.
yeah,
And or-
yeah. Yeah, if H&H says they can't bore it, they can't bore it.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's all I got.
Is it okay to go ahead and let him give us an update on the Wolsey Bridge while we're on these?
On the Woolsey Bridge, I talked to that Nikki Sin with the Highway Department, and I think the letter made it into y'all's packet. She kind of went over some of the stuff that her and James had talked about with the Woolsey Bridge, and pretty much said that we could store it. And I was even in contact with her today, and there's no time limit on how long we can store it or anything. And we talked about a little bit, if for some reason we stored it down here for such and such time and we wanted to do something different with it, there may be some cost to transport it to a different, that because federal money was used to move it up here, that we would have to reimburse some of the federal money. And if we chose to use it somewhere else other than the White River crossing, that it may be taken off the National Register of Historic Sites. But it could be repurposed for other uses. It wasn't tied just to go across the river there in that location.
But the big thing right now is that we've been assured that we are not going to have.
We
to
can
go through-
safely store the bridge
Right.
down here. And we talked a little bit about the footprint that it would take down here, and she suggested that we store it on timbers, and that even we could take the flaking paint off with gloves and mask and just encapsulate the paint that was on it with new paint, and it would be perfectly safe. So
So I think that was reassuring for me, because we just wanted to know that it wasn't gonna do damage to the ground if we stored it.
Right, or it costs us a fortune to keep up with everything
Yeah.
for 5 or 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, there was no time limit on there to how long we had to put it back out.
Where did that 3 years come from? 'Cause I swear I did.
Well, I talked to her.
When I first talked to her,
also.
she said 1 year, and I was like, that's not gonna happen. So, that's
3
what
years.
her and James had talked about, that
When I spoke to her this afternoon, she said that it was under her understanding that we were gonna try to do something within 1 to 3 years. And I said, well, that would be great if we had the money, but if we don't have the money, you know what? She said there is no time limit,
yeah,
that we wouldn't be held to any kind of a time limit whatsoever. And like you said, if we decided to put it somewhere beside the White River, that we probably could keep it still as a historic bridge, but we would have to do some kind of like a change order.
Yeah.
And they would have to
Yeah.
approve it, but we
Yeah.
could still keep it on the list of historic sites.
yeah.
But, so, you know, maybe we were panicking, but I would rather panic on the side of caution.
Well,
And not have an Albatross sitting down there just costing us a fortune that we can't do anything with.
And the
We're scared of.
contractor, you know, of course, he has his own insurance he has to go through, but they're having to heat the rivets and cut parts of the bridge, so when they start cutting that, it does make dangerous fumes that those guys are inhaling, so
Sure.
that's why they're taking the precautions that they are, so.
Right.
Have they started dismantling yet?
She said that the utility would be off there Friday, and probably early next week that they would be taking the deck off and getting ready to dismantle. So maybe within 2 or 3 weeks we should see,
And we do have timbers.
yes.
Okay.
And the only thing that we were probably gonna do is we were probably gonna put some sort of fence around it, whether it be orange construction fence, something just to deter people from going over there and climbing on it.
Sure, that's
So,
liability issues.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna have that down there at the recycle center, we don't want children, you know, to go over there.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
So I missed this part of it. I got tied up in the voting booth, but are we sure that we're not going to have to do some testing on the soils or anything?
there's, would be no testing. She, I think, put it in writing was what Dawn and I both wanted, that we could store this thing at this site and it not cause any harm to people or Nikki Sin,
With who?
the highway department. So, yeah, we wanted the reassurance that we could store it without doing any property damage or any health risk.
And she reassured me today that regardless of who is in office, that she'll be happy to work with anybody. And she's super nice.
To sum up real quick.
Yes.
So to sum up real quick, Chief, you were told when you took the bridge that it had lead and chromium, but there were low enough levels to where it would require no special treatment. That's what you were told. Then poor Isaac gets visited by a guy in a hazmat suit. He says, this is a hot site, and then he very responsibly starts calling around to learn more about it and gets word back from the Department of Health. Well, basically what they said is, yeah, if that's what they told you, then here's what you have to do, and they mailed him 250 pages of instructions. And y'all were alarmed, I think rightfully so. We got a hold of the Highway Department. The guy I started off talking to basically said this: listen, we don't want you to go through any hardship at all. I don't think it's as bad as the folks at the site say it is. He said the same thing I just did. He said they're doing things differently than what you would do. He said they're having to dismantle it in a certain way, get it off the piers in a certain way. And he goes, I don't know what precautions they're taking, but you won't have to take those. I said, well, now I've got 2 different people telling me 2 different things. So he said he'd get to the bottom of it. He also said, if y'all don't want the bridge, would you let us know quickly, because we're about to lift it off, and when we do, if you're not gonna take it, we gotta decide what we're gonna do with it. He said, but since you told us you were gonna take it, and we have agreed to that, he said, we're lifting it off in a certain way. Whereas if we were just gonna dismantle it, throw it away, we wouldn't have done this. So there's some cost involved. And that's what Isaac is talking about, that cost. If we ended up not taking the bridge, under the agreement we have right now, we might be responsible for some of the difference between what a contract would be to just take it apart versus a contract to lift it and move it. That's the one thing we'd have to work out. And he assured me we could work together and work on that, but he didn't say it'd be free. He just said we'd try to work with us.
Yeah, and she had said, Nikki had said something along those lines that it wouldn't be the full amount for the transportation up here, but it would be a percentage of that federal money that we would be responsible for reimbursing. So there would be some cost to us if we opted out.
Well, I guess, we never voted to not take the bridge or to turn the bridge down. So are we okay in just not doing anything? If we're going to
Absolutely. He just
accept-
wants to know what we're gonna do, and so does she. I mean, she works for him, for John Fleming, and they just wanna know.
We accomplished what we set out to do, which was
Get
have you
answers.
inquire, get answers so we can make the right decision and not have an onerous cost.
What I really appreciate is they just didn't call their lawyers and stick their lawyers on us. They basically
out
put
right
everybody
away.
in touch with Christie and Isaac and the mayor and got it all basically figured out. The one unknown besides how much money it would cost us, that percentage of that contract, would be if we decided not to put it on the bridge and use it for something else, or just get rid of it. One of the stakeholders is the Historical Society. It's a Historical Society. They're a stakeholder in this. They're a signatory to our MOA and member of agreement. And that would mean, I've worked with them before, and Mr. Fleming and I talked about that. They would just go, they might not go easy. They might just say, oh no, we'll just take it off the register. They have an interest in keeping that thing on the register. They think it's a beautiful bridge and a treasure, so they might make that a little more difficult, but no one has poked that bear right now. We're not going to unless we have to.
Yeah.
But I just want y'all to, I don't want you to think in a year, hey, you told us this would be okay. I want to make sure y'all know that could be an issue. Getting it off the historic register and just cutting it into pieces and selling it to Tom Smith for, scrap metal.
Well, the ideal is to put it up and have a safe pedestrian and cycling crossing on the river. The practical reality is we're going to have to pay for it. And if there's not a 36-month window, if the curtain doesn't fall and it's not do or die, if we can store it, indefinitely is the wrong term, but for a longer period where we can put some of the work in front of us now behind us.
And she even mentioned that even if we decided to put it across the White River in another location, that it may stay on the register if we can keep most of the bridge pretty well intact and use it for another crossing. Say if the Razorback Greenway Trail comes down here and we want to use it in another location of the White River, that it might still stay on the National Register that way. So
The last building that was stored on the campus was on the register, and there were some tax advantages being on the register. I'm assuming there's no, because of the nature of this.
Well, I didn't think about tax ramifications. I know that alterations are a big deal, and if you were doing that, you had limits to your alterations, right? It's personal property, probably now, although there's a deed to it, maybe it's real property, but there probably is a tax advantage of being on the historic register. We're not going to take it off for sure until we have to.
yeah.
Well, and it comes to mind because if you're going to expend the resources, I think there is a tax advantage for refurbishing or renovating or restoring anything on the National Historic Register.
And she also told me that, and I'm sure she told you the same thing, that she would be, and she's already told you about some of the grants that
Yes.
you can apply for,
Yeah.
that she would be more than happy to work with us to help us to find grants to get the money started and then possibly get other grants.
Well, I knew there was for a
so-
private party, for the last corporation or private organization we worked with. Just didn't know if it held over to municipal. Okay.
Thanks, Isaac.
You betcha.
Chad?
Sir, Chad.
I don't really have anything additional than what's in your packet, although I just want to point out that my Parks Committee did table selecting a new member until our December 5th meeting. So I'd hope to bring y'all a person for consideration at this meeting, but they tabled it, so hopefully I'll be bringing you someone to be confirmed at the next meeting. And then Isaac was supposed to, he put that in his report about the Riverside extension grant. Christie can talk more about the numbers, but as far as most of, there are some pictures in your packet also. It's pretty well completed except for the bench areas. We've gotten the gardens in, and we've got our soft surface trail, and we also did some clearing down there. So if y'all hadn't got a chance to go down there and look, it's really changed that area a lot, and it looks really, really nice. Benches were supposed to be here last week, I think. Christie, is that right? And
we thought so. They just shipped today,
but
so
there was a delay there, so we're hoping to get those in and get them in
What was
place.
the gentleman's name that did this?
David,
Bergerati.
he did a great job, and he was really, I thought, he was great to work with. And I thought really reasonable on the pricing for what he did and stuff also.
Looks good.
And so we get those benches in, then he's gonna come back and do a little more landscaping, on those areas where the benches will go. But other than that, it's.
So we've got
really cool.
22 days, including all of it, get it inspected and get the paperwork turned in?
Well, we have till
Is it?
go ahead, you can answer that
We
better
have till
than me.
December 31st to
Okay.
actually
I
get
misread
it
the
closed
date.
out.
Okay.
But we wanted to get it where they could come inspect it. The gentleman from the Parks and Tourism is actually going to be in town this week, so he's going to walk through it. And then once we get the benches in, he said we could just send him pictures of that. And so that'll be considered their inspection. And then basically what I have to do at that point is then get all of the reimbursement paperwork together. We have to wait on canceled checks and all that to be able to send that in. So hopefully by the first week of December at the latest, we can send that reimbursement request in and then have that done before the end of the year.
You guys pulled it together.
Yeah.
I was worried.
A 2-year project that we did in 2 months. Yeah.
I was worried.
I commend Isaac and Christie both, because it's been a collaboration for all of us, and it's gone together and really, I thought, turned out really nice. If you hadn't been down there, go take a look at it. And it's getting a lot more use, especially since we opened up some of that tree line that was separating the two parks. When I'm down there, I see more and more people on that extension trail using it. So, but anyway, that's all I have. Unless y'all have any questions or anything. All right, thank you.
So, thank you.
Chief Myers?
All I've got basically is coat drive, full swing. Anybody that's got any they want to donate, not just for kids, for adults, whatever, old, new, whatever you can do. And our Christmas dinner this year is going to be December the 5th. All you guys are always invited, so we'll send out emails just to remind you. So, other than that, I don't have anything unless you have questions.
Thank you. Christie?
The only thing I wanted to point out on the financial report is that our bank balance, our reserves did jump up considerably. About 90,000 of that is FEMA money that we have, so that obviously will be money that we can't touch until we get those projects done. And then we had some salary reimbursements and a fire check that came in that are just quarterly payments, so that's how come we had such a large jump in income this time.
Thank you. You guys have any questions? Okay, well, we pretty much talked about the grant. I mean, do we need to get anything else to add to that? What about update on the bank building?
Basically, what we need to do on that is there's a list in there of items that we disposed of because of demolition, and so I just need the council to make a motion to approve, that list.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And then as far, I mean, we have, I think, some insulation on a few of the vents that still needs to be removed, and the air units, heating and air units that still have to come out. Other than that, I think the demolition is completely done, and we'll be waiting on funding to move forward. Brett Park with the architect is moving forward on plans.
There are two things. I've noticed the doors moved out, and I think you did that. I appreciate that. Would the council have a problem repurposing those through Habitat for Humanity? Talking the wood doors that were in the building?
We can't.
Okay.
We can't.
Cannot?
Here's what you can do. You can say, I'm disposing of them, they have no value, which I think you just did with your vote. If Habitat wants to pick them up and take them, that's fine. We just can't get a receipt that says you donated those doors.
Fair enough.
Okay?
I called the auditor to make sure, because we had the stove, there's a couple of different things, and basically he said we can't donate anything to anybody other than the federal government. If somebody comes and takes it out of our dumpster and takes it to the trash for us, then that's their prerogative to do, but we
You
cannot.
can let them know it's there, Joe, so you can't donate it.
5:25 on Thursday afternoon.
Fair enough. And the one thing that I still need to get done is remove the HVAC equipment in the background.
You know, I know we sent an email to Waste Management to come
Is it
pick up
still there?
that. It's still there. I didn't know.
I'll take care of it. You're not being charged from the first email that I sent him,
Okay.
because he acknowledged the pick.
Okay.
So I'll remind him. And it's not just us. I asked him to quote Waste Services on a $130 million job, and he still hasn't got me a quote. And it's been
Well, I knew they
5
were
or 6
charging us,
days.
but I didn't know if you knew of a day or if.
I just need to stroke his kitty.
Okay.
The whole board needs to know that.
Well, it's not as bad as it sounds. I like my cats. We just need a reminder.
All we're done with the dumpster. That little bit of insulation that still needs to come down, it can go ahead.
And I want to thank everybody that's helped on that demolition. Thanks so much. Everybody, y'all, city, Joe's friends, Joe's.
Well, and like
Everybody.
the interim mayor pointed out, the cost that we saved is cost of a new roof on it, replacement of the roof. And if the rubber roof wasn't of the age it was and would take a patch, we wouldn't have to repair it. Overall, the roof's in pretty good shape, but when you start trying to patch new rubber onto 30-year-old rubber, 20-year-old rubber, it just doesn't. And it can be done, but no company will do it and warranty it. And so what do you really have if you pay someone $6,000 or $8,000 to fix something, but they won't stand behind it? So, but by doing the work amongst ourselves, we offset a good part or all the cost of a new TPO roof for the building.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody too. You guys have been great. All right, anything else on that? All right, let's move on to our budget. Do we, have y'all looked at the budget over and I hate to bring this up, but I feel like I need to. There's one item, and John, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you about this. I feel like when we were looking at this that we got a little bit carried away. We somehow came up with a $9,000 raise. And I don't feel comfortable with that. Your average employee is getting about an $800 raise. Now we have a couple of other employees that are getting raises, but they're they're mandatory because of the new federal laws on the wages on overtime, and we'd be paying a lot more if we paid them overtime. And John asked for a raise, and I honestly, I don't know how we got where we got. It just kind of snowballed. But I would like to propose that we give John a $4,500 raise. I feel like he was underpaid, and I think we need to give him a raise, but I don't think that we need to give a $9,000 raise. I can't. Yes, sir.
I can just interject. I think the one figure that was thrown around was that the fact that I had the second job, and you asked me how much I was making in that second job, which is on Sundays, and that figure was about $500 a month, so that came to $6,000. So it encouraged me to give up that job, and if I got the raise, which I would be happy to do.
Well, no, that's just you guys, if y'all discuss it, y'all tell me what you think.
What does the 4,500 remove? What do you what was the 9 gonna move him
to 38? Yeah.
So 34, somewhere around there. 33.5.
33.5?
Yeah.
I'd have to concur somewhat. A $4,500 or a $5,000 raise. What percent increase is that on salary?
I think 4,500 is like a 25% raise, isn't it?
What's the typical COLA adjustment that most people are getting? And yes, there are two special circumstances, but I think 5,000 is a fair adjustment up.
I do too. I think that's more than fair.
I would ask John, could you achieve what you wanted, independence from the second job with that dollar figure?
That's a good question. I'll have to think about that. To be honest, our finances as a family are very tight, and I'm hesitant to give up any of that income, but we can sit down as a family, my wife and I, and look at it.
It's rare that anyone gets a 50%.
I mean, I should probably come up with some comps of, what other like brands and I guess in some of our peers towns are making. I can do that. Maybe come back to you on that one.
Do we have a motion to change the budget?
I'll make the motion.
Would you state it exactly, Joe?
I'd like to make a motion to change the budget to reflect a different raise in salary.
5.
I would say 5.
Do we have a second?
I'll say.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Do we have any other discussion on the budget? Do we have a motion to accept the budget then with the adjustment.
Motion to approve resolution 2016-10 with proposed, or with approved adjustment.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We planted a tree Friday. Chad and Isaac too.
That guy over there.
They dug a hole, and I got to act like I was doing something, put a shovel in my hand and act like I was actually doing something. But I appreciate it. It was it's something that's kind of a neat deal, you know. I guess we'll get free. What was the deal about getting like 100 free trees or something?
This is part of the Tree City, which is really is the Economic Development and Beautification Committee are overseeing us being a Tree City, and this was really through them with some of our assistance. But there's different benefits we can get through the Forestry Commission, where we can get free trees to either use or give out to our citizens. And trees, larger trees also, that like the one we got. We did have to pay for this one, but in the future we can get larger trees to plant throughout the city and stuff also. And there's some other benefits to being a tree city, but mainly getting some assistance through the Forestry Commission and some more. And they'll also help clear some trees and things from time to time also.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. Thank you, Chad. And I want to remind everybody about the special meeting to approve the short-term financing on the bank. And that'll be the 14th at 6:30 p.m.
Monday night at 6:30. We have to have 2/3 vote, so please, everybody try to be here. And I went ahead and made copies of the agenda, so you guys can take them with you tonight, so we don't have to have the guys come out and deliver them.
All right.
Mayor, I do believe you may need to read that proclamation at the council meeting. I'm not sure if we need to, but just to be sure.
I wasn't going to.
I know you don't want to read it again.
I wasn't going to read it
I told
again.
you to.
Oh, Christie says we don't have to sort
We
it.
did it at the time. I don't.
Okay, never mind, sir.
I mean, there were witnesses there, right?
I was there myself, so.
Just signed. I signed it already.
I thought we had to. Okay, we're good.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, still open.
All in favor? Say aye.
Is that a hint to me?
Thank you.